Yeah.
Hey, what's BTech72 here, and for today's video, so I really want to discuss about this since it has been bothering me for about a few days at that point, and whenever I look at the Smash Bros. Website and the game itself, it surprises me that the Legend of Zelda franchise hasn't really gotten anything new lately. I mean, yeah, sure, we did get the we did get the champion tunic for Link and a brand new design for Zelda and the return of an old design for Melee and all, but whenever you think of Zelda representation, it just seems really odd to look at. And plus, since Ultimate is over, and we don't really know when the next Smash Bros. Game is ever gonna be, or if Sakurai is gonna make a new one, all I can say is that I think this is a good time to discuss a few more representations for the franchise itself. Now, in actuality, guys, this isn't really a big deal, as the Legend of Zelda games and the way they decide to represent it in Ultimate is decently well. Unlike Sonic, who hasn't gotten anything new, not even a new stage or a new character, just basically nothing at all. But for the Legend of Zelda specifically, it is decently well, but there could be some new additions that could vary up the entire roster and especially giving out more to the whole the universe of The Legend of Zelda. Plus, the series is one of Nintendo's best-selling franchises out there, just right next to Mario, Pokemon, and Fire Emblem. And with, having the 35th anniversary this year, and especially Breath of the Wild 2 coming next year, I think this is a really great time to talk about and add in a lot more representatives to the franchise. And so with that, let's just not waste time, let's get started adding some more Zelda content. So the first thing I want to talk about is the characters. Now, the characters are not really bad. Like, we got an interesting selection, but the one thing that bothers me is that there are only 6 characters from that series, and most of them are a semi-clone of Link. And Sheik is technically Zelda, since Sheik is like the alter ego of the Zelda franchise, and given how we've gotten many different iterations of Zelda's alter egos, Sheik is technically just Zelda, but it's a man in disguise, but it's like a man in disguise and all. So I want to add a characters that isn't just a Zelda or Link sort of character. So the character selection I got here is Impa, the 4 champions, Revali, Urbosa, Mipha, and Daruk, Midna, and Wolf Link, because I do want to see how these characters work together, Skull Kid, Girahim, and Zant. These are all different characters from the Zelda franchise that actually isn't just more than a semi-clone to Link or anything. It's a shame that some of those characters are assist trophies. Girahim, Midna, and Skull Kid are assist trophies in Ultimate, and so is today, but I just don't really understand what sort of moveset they could have given. And plus, Zant, it plays a huge important role in Twilight Princess. Remember that character? I have to say, even though I never played the Zelda franchise, Zant is one of my most favorite video game villains out there, and I have to say, I love the design of it, and I want to see how they work Zant out. And plus, I mean, I'm surprised Impa isn't one of the playable characters. She would have been a playable character back in, I don't know, like Brawl or Smash 4 when Hyrule Warriors was out, and especially Ultimate when they could have added some sort of Impa character that could either be the Age of Calamity one or just the other iteration of Impa. They could have added this character at all. And the 4 champions is something else, because since we got Link in his champion tunic, it is surprising that we didn't get any of the 4 champions. I would have personally mind Revali, because, I mean, it's Revali. I like bird characters. That's why I play Falco a lot. But I just don't really understand why they didn't give any new characters that isn't just, a clone of Zelda or Link after all. So, unless there's gonna be a new Smash Bros. Games, the most personal favorites I would like to see is Impa and Skull Kid, and maybe Girahim, unless they have a chance. I really want characters that is, more of a unique moveset, and that's really about it. Now, for the stages, it is really ironic that the stages for The Legend of Zelda has way more than the character selection for it. And just in case in the future, maybe you could add a few more stages. Here we got ourselves the Windfish egg from like Link's Awakening. We also got Ganon's Tower, because I have to mention about Ganon in a minute, but Ganon in Smash Bros. Being in the way they decided to make Ganon in Smash, it kind of feels like they did him dirty. That's all I can say about it. And the Great Fairy Fountain. These are a few stages that I can find from the Zelda franchise, as, I mean, from what I've seen from the stage selection, all of them represent, like, I guess most of them represent the different varieties of the Zelda installments. Like, you know, like the Great Bay represents Majora's Mask, like and like Hyrule Castle 64 represents Ocarina of Time. There's like a few things, and Spirit's track is representative of Legend of Zelda and the Spirit track. I think it's time to add a few more, and especially having a stage for Ganon, because Ganondorf, like I said, they really did him dirty in Smash Bros., in which I will talk about in a minute. But these are only the stages I thought of so far, and if you guys have any more selections of different locations of the Zelda franchise, then let me know down below. And here is what bugs me the most. Now, the character selection, I have to say, is that, like I said, it's not really that bad once you think about it. The Zelda representation as characters is a great thing, despite some of them being semi-clones, but the movesets for them is just oddly generic, and I don't know why exactly. But for a few Zelda characters, there are some issues. Ganondorf, for example, like I said a couple times, they really did him dirty. Now, I get that he has brought back his Ocarina of Time design from Melee, and especially adding the sword, but even to this very day, he still acts like Captain Falcon. I don't know why exactly. Like, they could have gave him a moveset from Hyrule Warriors. Like, in Hyrule Warriors, they made Ganondorf playable, and from what I've seen, he is such a beast in terms of how he plays. And the playstyle itself is a way better iteration of Ganondorf than the one we have in Smash Bros. And plus, from what I've seen, there was a mod of where they showed the Dark Mage Ganondorf, or was it Dark Sage Ganondorf? I don't know. That one is a decloned version of Ganondorf and has a way better version of a playstyle than the actual one we've gotten. It really bothers me that Ganondorf is like one of the most popular and well-known Nintendo villains out there, and yet they didn't really give him anything else aside from just a Captain Falcon clone. Like, for Captain Falcon, it's understandable, but for Ganondorf, they could have given him some different variety from Hyrule Warriors. That's really a shame, and I know I'm acting a little salty. It's just that for Ganondorf, they need to at least give him more to stay true to this character. Now, this one I had a very tough decision whenever I look at Sheik, because, I mean, Sheik is technically Zelda, but is disguised and all. But even though it's like the Zelda character, even though it's sort of the alter ego of Zelda, Sheik does have a unique moveset. The real issue is that it's been the same since Melee, just like with Ganondorf and all. I don't understand of why Sheik was there, because the reason I want this character's moveset to be changed was because that, I mean, like, the character only appears in one game, and that was, I think, Ocarina of Time. And originally, Sheik was supposed to appear in Twilight Princess, but was scrapped for an unknown reason. I'm not sure if there's a reason of why. I feel like there's a reason of why Sheik was cut from Twilight Princess, but the moveset has been the exact same. And I assume that Sheik is also in Hyrule Warriors. Like, look, like I said, I have never played the Zelda franchise, so I think I assume that Sheik was in Hyrule Warriors. And from what I've seen, they do have the ninja-like aspect of what the character really is. So I think they should implement from the Hyrule Warriors moveset to the Smash Bros. Moveset and add a more uniqueness to Sheik. Otherwise, unless there's ever gonna be a new Smash Bros. Games, they're gonna at least cut out Sheik at some point. And then finally, Young Link. Now look, Young Link is the one character out of all the other two I've talked about, because this character has not been in any Smash Bros. Installment since Melee. It's weirdly coincidental how all three of these characters I mentioned comes from Melee, because that was their first appearance in the Smash series. Young Link has not appeared since Melee, and ever since his return, at first I didn't really mind Young Link's returning, and the moveset I did really like. But the more I think about it, I feel like they should have given him his moveset from Majora's Mask. Like, the different variety of masks, like the Deku Link, and especially Fierce Deity. Now, I know Fierce Deity is represented in one of Link's alternate costumes, but imagine how amazingly epic it would have been if young Link had the final smash to transform into Fierce Deity Link. Now, I get that young Link was the way to represent Ocarina of Time back then, but nowadays, it really just doesn't matter. Sure, it's one of the best-selling franchise installments of the series, but if we're gonna go in with another moveset that doesn't really involve, you know, having the same moveset as the Link we know now, then we could have at least given him the moveset for, you know, from Majora's Mask. Now, with the regular Link has the moveset from Breath of the Wild because it's understandable, and for Toon Link, I mean, that's the only character that I think should have his moveset stay. Young Link, though, despite him being returned, has no new moveset changes whatsoever, and I really want his moveset to be based off from Majora's Mask. I talked about that about a couple months ago, so I really do think that unless he's ever gonna come back, in which I really doubt, then they're gonna give the moveset for Majora's Mask. And before I end this whole thing off, I want to add a few details on some things. For Ganondorf specifically, now most villain characters in Smash has their very own victory theme. Meta Knight, despite him being a rival to Kirby, has his own version of the victory theme. Bowser Jr. Piranha Plant has his own victory theme. What else? Oh yeah, Sephiroth. Even Sephiroth himself has his own victory theme. But Ganondorf is one of the few characters that doesn't have his own unique victory theme. Heck, even the Fire Moon characters has their own, despite them not being villains at all. Wolf doesn't even have the Team Starwolf theme, and Ganondorf is one of the most menacing and most powerful villains in Nintendo's history of different villains. So it seems weird how they didn't give him his own victory theme, and that's really about it. And also, plus, I mean, now that I think about it, if they're gonna give out like different costumes, like Ike, for example, Ike has two different alternates, one from Radiant Dawn and one from Path of Radiance. So maybe in the future they could possibly give Ganondorf a different sort of like costume, one for Ocarina of Time and the other for Twilight Princess. But unless Breath of the Wild 2 reveals a brand new Ganondorf design, then they could give that design to Ganondorf to represent Breath of the Wild even more. And for Sheik, for some of the details I want to have is to have the moveset involve her dagger. I somehow forgot to mention this, because in the actual games, and especially in Smash Brothers, she always has a dagger as part of her designs, but never uses it. I don't understand why, so I think one of the taunts I think she can use that as one of her taunts, and maybe one of her smash attacks, because weirdly enough, the dagger, even though it's part of her design, it's never really used outside of Smash Brothers, especially the Zelda franchise after all. But with all that, I think this is some good additions for The Legend of Zelda. Like, I mean, look, in reality, there really isn't anything wrong with the representation in Zelda. It is decently well, you guess you can say, of how they managed to give more, of how they stay true to the franchise. But in my opinion, I do think there has to be some additions, as I am a little bothered with some of the character selection and the lack of stages that, you know, that would have been so iconic, and especially the lack of the moveset for any uniqueness to each of those characters. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What other additions would you like to add to the Legend of Zelda franchise? What other characters you might think? What other collectibles or either movesets? I want to know all your opinions down below, and so with that, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos, follow my Twitter, and I'll see you guys next time, and remember this, once a legend, always a legend. Like a Hellcat.